Peter King at 4. Peter's gone to NBC now. I guess he's officially, is he gone now, Mons? Is he there now? Or is he about to go today, or where is he going? He's going soon to work at NBC full-time, so I think that started. He's there. Okay, he's there now. And he's got this interview with McAdoo. So we will have that. And Peter was a fixture on the show, hasn't been on the show in a while, but he's going to be on the show later today. A couple things. Number one, a lot of people have asked me, you talked about the app early on and you haven't talked about it. I haven't talked about it because there was nothing to talk about. The Mike's On app is almost ready. We will, I believe, by the end of July, put the pricing up. And then we will begin it from Bar A on August 24th. And obviously, we will be in operation after that. You can go to mikeson.com. We will have more up there by the end of July about, tell you all the different things that will be on the app and everything else. We will do that in the weeks to come. So you can go to mikeson.com and sign your name up right now. No one's hitting you up any money yet. We haven't even put the pricing up yet. We will do that by the end of July. And then we will be ready to go. And we are ready to go. We'll be ready to go by the 24th of August. And obviously, the Football Sunday show will be a centerpiece of it starting on our first Football Sunday. We will be there from 9 to 12 each week with all things that you're used to seeing from the Football Sunday show. All the regular stuff will be there 9 to 12 each week. And it will be on Mike's On. That's where you can get it. So you can go check it out, and we will give you all the information in the days and weeks to come. I watched the Battle of the Sexes movie. Now, I actually lived a lot of that because I've mentioned through the years, not that many times, but I've mentioned it, that I interned with the World Team Tennis as part of my internship with St. John's. I worked for them for 2 summers and did the games at the Coliseum, worked for the general manager, worked for, and did all different things that you do as an intern. Because, what we had is when the athletic administration program started at St. John's, I was already in the school as a communications major. They asked me to also double as an athletic administration major, of which I was the first part of the first graduating class. I think I was in the top 5, the first 5 that graduated from that program. And one of the things you had to do was, and obviously, you wanted the Yankees, you wanted the Giants, you wanted to get those kind of internships, but you got them at, they did it by some fair, well, at least we thought it was fair at the time. I don't know if it really was, might have been fixed, who knows. But I wound up with tennis. And I wasn't thrilled, but I actually developed as a kid, and I was a kid, I developed a pretty close relationship with Billie Jean King. In that we used to spend a lot of time with her. We used to, be at the arena together. We used to talk sports. She loved sports. She was best friends with Ed Snyder, who owned the Flyers. Her brother, Randy Moffat, was a major league pitcher. Her father had been a major athlete. She had a ton of athletes who were friends. She was best friends with Elton John. She had a million friends. She was big in sports. So I used to talk all sports with her. She loved to talk sports. And I used to be around there and, hey, one of the first things I ever did was, one of my first jobs was to go to the airport and pick up Martina Navratilova when her flight came in, when she was playing for the Cleveland Nets. I had to pick her up and drive her to the arena. That was one of my first assignments. So to watch that movie and remember that time, I thought Emma Watson did a great job playing Billie Jean King. Yeah, I mean, was she better looking than Billie Jean King? Yes. Okay. Billie Jean King was nothing to look at. But she had a charisma about her. But I thought she did a great job. My wife and I watched this last night, and I actually enjoyed the thing. I really did, because it brought back interesting times and interesting memories about that whole thing that went on. And she did feel a tremendous... First of all, she and Margaret Court Smith did not get along. They had very different views on life, on... sexual mores, on all different things, as you know, because Billie Jean was going through this whole thing at the time, right? She was, with the hairdresser, which was part of the movie. And Margaret Court Smith was extremely straight-laced and religious. Her husband was always traveling with her and everything, and they did not get along. And she was a great player, but she couldn't handle pressure. And Riggs knew what to do to her. He got under her skin. He got her annoyed. He got her, he upset her, the whole thing. Billie Jean was not going to fall to any of that stuff, which was really played up very well. But you saw how much pressure she felt, and she did not want Morgan Smith to do it. And then she was afraid she'd fail. And when she failed, she felt the pressure of the world on her to, carry the mantle for women's tennis and for women in general. So I thought it was a really good movie. I really did. I got a kick out of it. I thought they did a good job. Dave in Flatbush. What's up, Dave?
How you doing, Mike?
What's happening?
deGrom signing would be the classic, typical Mets signing, which would be like an ideal signing for the Mets. They don't have to pay him for more than the 4 years. They'll have to pay him a lot.
They have to pay him a lot of money.
They'll have to pay him a lot of money, but there'll be a guy who's in the system, who knows how to pitch in New York, who has not that many years of pitching on his arm, and he's a guy who they only have to sign him for 4-year extension. So even it's like a cesspit if they would never give a guy a 7-year contract. He's a 4-year guy.
Well, I don't know. He might want more than 4 years, though. You don't know that.
You don't think 4-year, $27 million will be enough to get him? I mean, it's a lot of money.
Listen, he's going to want it. He's going to want at least that.
But I think that's something that typical Mets would be perfect. And building around him, people that say Machado, they need to get Machado. I mean, I don't see, if you close your eyes and say, how do you build a team, and you get 2 aces to start to build a team with Syndergaard and deGrom, then you build around them with some signings, some smart signings. Hopefully a new GM will be able to create better signings and maybe trade for
Listen, deGrom has absolutely forced their hand, and clearly deGrom is not as happy as he's let himself on to be.
How could you be?
Well, and he's made that very clear now. Plus, he might be looking to push his way out of here, figuring, here's where I am. The Mets are going to have to knock me over to me to agree to a contract. They're going to have to knock me over, and if they don't, I'm out of here. And I think maybe what you're seeing is that maybe deGrom really wants to leave, and he's figuring the Mets won't knock him over with a contract. And maybe he's going to be outrageous in his contract demands. Who knows? We don't know that yet. We don't know. But he could be that way, and he could force their hand here. He can force us. This could be deGrom forcing his way out of the team.
And it could also be a superstar pitcher who's just frustrated with having game over after game.
No, this is a little more than frustration, though, because this was well planned. And this was
They've done nothing. They've done nothing to build this team around him. They've done, and you say, and I know you keep saying that they haven't spent the smart money. The players
they haven't,
but they haven't. They've always cheaped out on the Vargas rather than Arrieta. With Moustakas,
no, they just made bad. Listen, they could have afforded Arrieta. They made a bad signing. They could have afforded Arrieta.
My point.
That's just judgment. It wasn't dollars. It was judgment. It was judgment. They made bad judgment. That's what you're seeing more than anything else. It's not that they couldn't have afforded the Arrieta deal. They could have. They made a bad judgment. They brought in the wrong guy. In every one of those moves, they brought in the wrong guy. That was their biggest issue. It was a judgment issue more than anything else. All right, let's listen. Here's deGrom.
2015, when we went to the World Series and we were a winning baseball team, that was a lot of fun, and that's what I want to get back to. And yes, I would love it to be here with the Mets, and we'll just have to see what happens. Yeah, we've been open to discussing long-term deals with the Mets. There's been no numbers discussed, and I've enjoyed my time here. So it's just something that is kind of in the Mets' control and kind of out of mine. Like I said, I've really enjoyed my time here, and I've said before that I would love to keep playing here. I would love to play here for my whole career. So I think it's just kind of deciding what we see as the future.
All right. This is deGrom. Hey, I'm being a good guy. I really want to be here. But in essence, what he's saying is, knock me over with a contract or I'm out of here. This is him figuring, I can't lose. I'm either going to be on a contending team and I don't have to deal with this garbage anymore, or I'm going to get paid regally well, and then, I'm set. So it's one or the other. And do I think deGrom is somehow, what he's doing is unfair? I do not think what he's doing is unfair. I don't think it's an unfair move. He has every right to make this move. He's just Now, the Mets could call his bluff, but that's going to be an ugly situation if they do, because then how does deGrom react if the Mets say, we're not doing anything until the season's over and we're not trading him? Then you got a tricky situation here because they've basically warned not to do that. The inertia, this is from his agent, the inertia of the current situation could complicate Jacobs' relationship with the club and create an atmosphere of indecision. In other words, don't go there. Don't go there. We feel if the Mets don't share the same interest, we believe their best course of action is to consider trading now. In other words, pay me now or ship me out. That's what he's saying. Kenny in Bayonne, what's up, Kenny?
Michael, welcome back.
Thank you. What's up, Kenny?
Mike, do you think by deGrom making this statement hamstrings the Mets a little bit on a return on investment?
Oh, completely.
Trade?
Completely. If they don't, the
now,
only way they keep the only way they keep their leverage, Kenny, is this: we're negotiating with deGrom. Negotiations are going very well, and at the same time, ownership is telling the general managers, get the best deal we can. That's the only way they maintain leverage. Otherwise, they've lost leverage any way you slice it.
Yeah, without question. This just looks like, I mean, like if it was the Yankees, they just come in and say, yeah, well, you were going to get 5, now you're getting 2 or 3 if you're lucky.
Well, yeah, and that you can't do. So the Mets either have to sign him or make it look like they are going to sign him and then deal him, because otherwise they, as you said, they completely lose their leverage. Completely. And someone like the Yankees is going to feast on that. Although I've told you all along, I felt that if he got traded, it would be to the Brewers. That's what I always felt. Billy in Bay Ridge, what's up, Billy?
Mike, I'm glad for Jason deGrom. I always said the Mets should have, in good faith, gave him some extra money in that. And it's a business. And if he was my son, I would tell him. I would say, get your money now. You know, you get hurt in another year, and they're not going to pay you nothing.
Well, I mean, listen, he's going to get his money. The point is, listen, you're allowed. He's allowed. The one thing he's doing here, though, is the Mets can call his bluff. Then what is his bluff? If the Mets say, well, we're not trading him and we'll discuss his contract at the end of the season, now what? Now everybody rushes to deGrom. What does he say? I've had it here. Mets should have traded me. I'm going to be hell on wheels. What does he say? He really can't say anything, but he has warned the Mets not to do that. By saying, in other words, I don't think that's a wise way for you guys to go with the situation. I don't think that's a wise way for you to go. Jim in Long Branch, what's up, Jim?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
What's happening?
No, this season is just turning, it's really bad, because now the Mets are they're making a choice about the future of the franchise, and they don't even know who their GM's going to be next year. I mean, how do you make this decision without having a guy?
Well, that's it. The Mets can make that very clear that we're not in a position yet to trade him. The problem is, if they now try to hold deGrom off, can they hold deGrom off? That's the tricky part. That's the really tricky part. All right, as we approach 4 WFAN FM in New York.